Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We are from Group 1, consists of 4 members. The first is me, Andyta Mustafari, as the third speaker. The second is Reskyani, is the fourth speaker. The third is Husnia as the first speaker. And the last is Wiwi Pratiwi as the second speaker. Well, now we are going to present our material under the title is A Short Analysis of Discourse Coherent is written by Yuan Wang and Ming He Guo. In this part, we have a fourth subtopic. The first is basic concept of discourse coherence. The second is cohesion and coherence. The third is nature of discourse coherence. And the last is summary. Well, to limit the time, I invite the first speakers to explain the first material. The time is yours.
Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Husnia. I'm the first speaker. I'm going to explain about the basic concept of discourse coherence. And in this topic, there are two subtopics. The first is definition of discourse coherence, and the second is a general survey of discourse coherence. So let's look at the first is introduction. So in this article, the author reviewed previous researchers on discourse coherence and present the nature of discourse coherence from cognitive perspective, aiming at the giving and an insight to discourse comprehension and teaching. And actually is an essential element of discourse, and the coherence has been the focus of this study. So let's get the first part is definition of discourse coherence. This is that will be some linguist argument about text and discourse. So let's have a look at. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 linguists argue about the differences of text and discourse. So let's look at the first linguist. It's come from Stubbs and Coulthard. They stated that distinguish text as a written language from discourse as a spoken language. The second linguist is Halliday and Hassan in 1976. Take a text as a unit of language in the use which can be any passage, spoken or written, of whether length and that does from a unified whole. And the third linguist is a Van Dyck in 1980. So Van Dyck stated that the difference between text and discourse lies in that the former is a theoretical conception related to a language user competence, while the latter is a general term. And the fourth linguist is a Leach in 1982, take a discourse as a both written and spoken English. And the last linguist explained is Brown and Yule in 1983, define text as the verbal record of communicative act and distinguish text as a product from discourse as a process. So the next slide, this is the text and discourse are two different expressions. That is, a discourse means that it's used as a coherent combination of sentences or sentence fragments that is the result of communication interacted between participants, whether speaker and listener or writer and reader. And otherwise, a text is only refers to written discourse. So in short, we can say that a text is necessarily non-interactive while discourse is necessarily interactive. So even though the two terms text and discourse are used interchangeably with a concern to literary analytical studies, these two are two diverging subjects. This confusion arises due to the similar nature of the two in their literary analytical study as a textual analysis and discourse analysis. So, what is discourse coherence? Discourse coherence is the semantic relationship between proposition or communicative events in discourse, which is a feature of the perception of discourse rather than discourse itself. So the next subtopic is a general survey of discourse coherence. So in this subtopic, the author will first make a general survey of studies on discourse coherence and then present a brief view on cohesion and coherence, and finally the nature of discourse coherence. Let's have a look at. So here is the linguistic analysis of the notion of coherence in discourse. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 linguistic analyze the notion of coherence in discourse. So here is the following survey. We'll look roughly at several representative studies on discourse coherence and present the author's view of them. So according to Halliday and Hassan in 1976, that a text must have a texture which is guaranteed collectively by cohesion and register, and in the process of discussing the relation between cohesion and texture. And also Halliday and Hassan put forward the standard for coherence. Okay, in Halliday and Hassan's book, Cohesion in English, they argue that the concept of cohesion can be usefully supplemented by that of register. Since the two together effectively define a text here is a passage of discourse which is coherent in these two regards. The first is it is coherent with respect to the context of situation and therefore consistent in register. And the second, it is coherent with respect to itself and therefore cohesive. Neither of the two conditions is sufficient without the other, nor does the one by necessity entail the other. So just as one can construct passages which are beautifully cohesive, but which fail as a text because they lack consistency of register, there is no continuity of meaning in relation to the situation. So the hearer or the reader reacts to both of these things in his judgment of texture. And the next explanation will be delivered by Andi Wiwi for more detail about the survey of discourse coherence.
Okay, thank you for the first speaker. Well, the next material will be delivered by the second speaker. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I am Andi Pratiwi as the second speaker. In this time, I will continue the explanation from the first speaker about the general survey of discourse coherent according to the some linguistic. According to the Halliday and Hassan, 1976, a text coherent which must satisfy with two conditions. The first condition is a text must be consistent with context in which is created, and then another condition is a text must have a cohesion that is all part in the text must be connected by a cohesive device. Next, and then next slide, please. And then according to the Van Dijk in his book Text and Coherence 1977, coherence is a semantic property of discourse based on the interpretations of each individual sentence relative to the interpretation of other sentence. And then next, Van Dijk he argued that coherence of discourse represented into two levels. The first is it could be linear and sequential coherence. It means coherence relations holding between proportions expressed by composite sentences and sequences of those sentences. And then the second level is a global coherence, which is a more general nature and characterizes discourse as a whole or a larger fragments of a discourse. And then, according to the some linguistic experts, it is the Man and Thompson 1987. He argued that a text is composed of several functional chunks at the various level. It can be divided into the smaller ones so as to form the basic functional structure of the text. And then according to the Danas 1974 and Friars 1983, they are argued that connect discourse coherent with the thematic progression of the discourse. They propose that studies discourse coherence mainly with element within a discourse, and it is only one of the important elements that influence coherence. It has nothing to do with those factors outside and a discourse. And then, according to the Widowns 1978, he analyzed the discourse coherence in terms of illocutionary act. He defined cohesion as the overall relationship between proportions expressed through sentence, and then perceived the coherence of discourse as the relationship between the illocutionary act, which proportion, not always overlinking, are being used to the verb forms. Next. And then another linguistic expert arguments from the Bergerens and Dressler 1981 propose 7 defining characteristics of a text, and then they call 7 standards of textuality that are the intentionality. Intentionality in here is the fulfillment of the author's intentions, and then the second is acceptability. Acceptability in here is a relevance to the text receiver, and then the third one is informativity. In here, informativity is the right amount of the information with regard to the readers. And then the fourth is situationality, is the location in a discrete social context in a real time and place. And then the fifth one is intertextuality, is a relation with other texts which are characteristic with it. And then the sixth is cohesion and coherence. Cohesions, their opinion that cohesion concerns the way in which the component of the surface text, the actual words we hear or see, are mutually connected with a sequence. Surface component depend upon each other according to the grammatical form and convention. Therefore, they view cohesion as a grammatical dependency. And then coherence, in his opinion, they concern that the ways in which the component of the textual word, the configurations of the concept and relation which underline the surface text are mutually acceptable and relevant. And then another, according to the Brown and Yule, he emphasized that the importance of participants' backward knowledge in the interpretations of discourse. Interpretation of discourse coherence stored in memory, taking such a form as a frame, schemata, script, scenario, and plan. If the interpretation of a discourse is a consistency with the mentally stored knowledge and backward scans and can be interpreted as a interrelated unit, the discourse is a to coherence. So next, so from the brief review of the previous approaches toward discourse coherence, we can found two facts are relevant. The first fact is discourse coherence is such a complicated concept that is related to almost every aspect of discourse communication. And the second fact that we can found that there is no all-embracing tool governing coherent analysis. Every scholar presents his or her insight into one aspect of discourse coherence and view it from different angles. Okay, and the next, cohesion and coherence. So, cohesion, the next expression is about cohesion and coherence. Cohesion and coherence are a first study by Halliday and Hassan in their book Cohesion in English. They take a view that the primary determinant of whether set of sentences do or do not constitute a text depends on cohesive relationship within the between and sentence which created texture. Next, in his book, he said that in his book text, and he said that they said that a text has a texture, and this is what this doing is it from something that is not a text. It derives these textures from the fact that it functions as a unit with respect to its environment. And then, according to the next slide, please. And then, according to the Halliday and Hassan, who are divided cohesive in cohesive, divide and classify into 5 kinds category. We can see at the following diagram. There is category reference, pronominal with these examples. The boy can find his mother. He becomes very sad. And then let's see the category of demonstrative. The example that was the sadness story I had ever heard. And the comparative, an example, it is the same story I had yesterday. And the substitutions, my bicycle is too old, I need to buy a new one. And then ellipsis, I wish I had more talent. My mister has a lot of more than I do. Conjunction, addictive, I will not go to Beijing. Furthermore, I will not go anywhere. Adversative, cars are convenient, but they are expensive. Causal, I will not buy a car because I have no money. Temporal, let's see the example. He left his hometown in 1979. At the time, he is only a little boy. Lexical iterations. I saw a boy playing basketball. The boy in his Tom's brothers. Synonym. The example is I saw a boy playing basketball. The lead is Tom's brothers, and hyponymy. Let's see the example. I saw a boy playing basketball, and then the child is Tom's brothers. Okay, I think that's all from my explanations about the some survey, general survey of discourse analysis, and brief explanation about coherence and cohesions will be explained by the by the third presenters. Thank you very much for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Okay, thank you to the
wabarakatuh.
second speaker. Well, now I'm as the third speaker. I'm going to continue the previous material about cohesion and coherence. Actually, cohesion plays an important role in discourse because cohesion can help create a text and express the continuity that exists between one part of the discourse and another. Well, this is the example in the daily life. People often find sentences that are well connected by cohesive device, but not coherent at all. Okay, look at the example here. John was reading China Daily. Newspaper published in America usually contains several pages. The first page of this book was lost. The lost child had been found by policemen. Well, from that example, even top cohesive devices are used in that sentence, but they are clearly not coherent. This gives the reader the wrong impression of coherence, which some linguists call pseudo-coherence. Which is this we call pseudo-coherence because the cohesion because the cohesive device is not coherent at all. Well, the next. Some linguists like Brown and Yule in 1983 have pointed out that discourse can be coherent without cohesion. For example, here, John bought a cake at the bake shop. The birthday card was signed by all of the employees. The party went on until after midnight. Superficially, it is incomplete and incoherent, but in the fact, its overall meaning is unified and coherent. That because of people's experience about birthday, they know the cake, the card, and the party are all correspond to the same event is a birthday party. Next, please. Well, actually, coherent is not something that exists in language, but something that exists in people because sometimes only people can understand what they read and listen. Now, based on the definition of coherence, different linguists have a different insight. In here, there are three linguists. The first is Crystal in 1985, Reinhardt in 1980, De Begret and Dressler in 1981. According to Crystal in 1985, he said that coherence is the main principle of organization, which is assumed to account for the underlying functional connectedness of a piece of spoken or written language. It means that coherence involves the study of factors such as language users, knowledge of the word, the conclusion they make, and the assumption they hold, and in particular. And also involve the study of the way to communication, use of the speech act. But obviously, grammatical and lexical relationships are not considered in this definition. So according to Crystal, that is the grammatical and lexical not considered in this coherence. Next. And the second linguist, based on Reinhardt in 1980, he said that coherence is composed of the semantic and grammatical connectedness between discourse and context. And here he comprised the three elements of coherence. The first is there's connectedness, means the sentence is a text are interconnected with each other in semantics and grammar. And the second is about the consistency. refers to the fact that there is no contradiction between the proposition expressed by these sentences and they are true to a certain extent. And the last is a relevance. That means a text should be related to the context, the sentence in a text should be related to each other, and the sentence should all be related to the general topic of the text. And the last is according to De Burgert and the Drusles in 1981, he said that cohesion and coherence as the two entirely separated concept. They propose cohesion to be the structural relation on the text surface, while coherence the structural relation underlie the surface. Cohesion is coherence are two different concepts. According to Halliday and Hassan, from purely linguistic perspective, they take cohesion as the necessary condition for coherence discourse. And according to Widows and Crystal, they take from a pragmatic perspective that they recognize the importance of pragmatic knowledge in the interpretation of coherence. Well, next, Kak. So actually cohesion and coherence as a two different but interrelated linguistic terms important in discourse analysis. They are formally rather than functionally different, but cohesion is more obvious than coherence because it only deals with the surface structures of a discourse. Cohesion is neither necessary nor sufficient to create a coherent discourse, but a useful means to coherence. Coherent is actually characteristic of being overt and covert. Why? Because the overt means that coherent is something available in the surface structure, and be covert means that coherent is achieved not by using superficial, merged as a linguistic, grammatical device, and etc., but by psychological, cognitive, pragmatic device, and etc. Well, I think that's all I can explain about the cohesion and coherence. And I hand over to moderator. Well, the next material will be explained by the first speaker about the nature of the discourse analysis. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thanks to the chance for giving time to me. Now I'm going to continue the materials about this material based on the article. Okay, I am the last presenter, Reskyani. Next slide, please. Okay, this material is about nature of discourse analysis. In the previous part, the author had studied the concept of cohesion and coherence and the relationship between them. The following part will be focused on exploring the nature of discourse coherence. I think all of us already know about the cohesion and coherence. That in the previous part, that's my friend in the first speaker already explains about the definition of cohesion or coherence. But this in the nature of discourse analysis, we will be focused on exploring the nature of discourse coherence. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here coherence is okay. Coherence is an important concept in discourse analysis. Linguistics hold two different views toward the nature of discourse. First one is about discourse as a static product, and the second one is about discourse as a dynamic process. So here that linguistics have two different views of this nature of discourse. The first one is about discourse as static product, and the second one is about discourse as dynamic process. Okay, discourse as static product, it means that this define coherence as a visible and observable things, and here also become linguistic phenomenon, paying little attention to the influence of non-linguistic features such as context and the actual process of communication. So here, the main point of discourse as static product, it is a actual process of communication, while person make a conversation each other. And the second one is about discourse as dynamic process. Here, the main point of this is a pragmatic and psychological, and this approach emphasizes no-linguistic picture. Pragmatic here explore the role and inference in discourse coherence. For example, here speech ache by Austin and conversational implicator is by Grace. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here there is someone famous. The intention of the participant in communication can also play a crucial role in determining the degree of coherence given 1995 text coherence. That's text coherence as a mental phenomenon. Based on this, Given said that here there is a statement of Given said that coherence is not an internal property of a written or spoken text, but a property of what wait, but a property of what emerges during speech production and a comprehension the mentally presented text, and in particular the mental processes, the parted and construction, the mental representation. So the main point of this is the coherence is not internal property, but this a property emerges during speech production and comprehension. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here it can be concluded that coherence is a rather complex phenomenon which concerns with every aspect of the communication process, both verbal and non-verbal. Studies cannot embrace only one of the approaches and ignores the other. In the both of them reveal the nature of discourse coherence from different perspectives. So here, the main point of this, that we can conclude that if coherence is a complex phenomenon and this cannot be embraced if only one approach and ignored, then this is also in here that the nature of discourse coherence have a different perspective based on the linguistic. And from the coherence as linguistic phenomenon point of view, it can be learned that what linguistic devices are functioning and how they are used to organize sentences into a coherent discourse. So because of coherence as linguistic here, so we use to organize sentences into a coherent discourse. Simultaneously, it is quite not enough to investigate discourse coherence as a static product of communication, since communication is a dynamic process of interaction between communicator and audience, during which language serves as a medium. So here, that's because we cannot it is not enough to investigate the course coherence, because of this is the product communication between the communicator and audience in a dynamic process. So this the language become a medium. Next slide, please. Okay, therefore, in order to explore the nature of discourse coherence, these two aspects must be combined together. It should not be the case of either or, but the complementation of each other. It is both a static and dynamic process. A coherent discourse can not only be achieved by linguistic device, but also by mutual efforts of participants in communication. Because of the differences in context and participant cognitive abilities, because of these differences in context and participant cognitive abilities, what is to be communicated may take quite different forms. So attention must also be paid to function of nonverbal factors in dynamic process of communication. The main point of this to explore the nature of discourse coherence. So we should use two aspects, and we must be combined together, because of if only one, they cannot be explore the nature of discourse coherence. So we should combine together. Okay, here this is the last about the summary. This article presents a new perspective to the study of discourse coherence, the cognitive perspective. Discourse can be regarded as the coherent group of sentences or sentence fragments that function as record of a communicative event, whether spoken or written, which can be approached as a dynamic process of interaction between participants in a communicative event. Discourse can be analyzed from two aspects. One is discourse as static product, and the other is discourse as dynamic process. I think this is the summary of our material based on the article we explained here. And then I think all of us already learned and now about definition of discourse coherence, a general survey of discourse coherence, cohesion and coherence, nature of discourse coherence, what I explained just now. I think that's all my materials. Thank you for your kind attention. So I hand over to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the last speaker. And I think that was our nice explanation about a short analysis of discourse coherence by it's written by Yuan Wong and Ming He Guo. I think that's all. And the last I say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you for the all presenters. I think that was a nice explanation about the short analysis of discourse coherence is written by Yuan Wong and Ming He Guo. And thank you for your nice attention. And the last I say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.